Good afternoon. I'm Lilian Carreon.
And I am Erna Delise. This is iPulse Live. We begin today with concerns about political violence in America. These concerns are in sharp focus after the killing of Charlie Kirk. Guy De Domenico analyzes one disturbing new study.
Days after the Charlie Kirk killing, Sachs Media, a Florida-based PR firm, conducted a survey of Floridians about political violence. Among the findings, 94% of those surveyed worry about political violence. Roughly 1 in 4 Floridians surveyed believe some vigilante killings are, quote, justified. I sat down with Lynn students to hear what they think of the survey.
I'm definitely concerned.
There is stunned reaction from some.
Honestly, I think the entire situation is just terrible. At the end of the day, politics is just a mindset, and it does affect us every day, but no one should be killed and nothing is deserved. Like, everyone should have freedom of speech, both sides, and we should all come together as one at the end of the day because we are one nation.
Last year, the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson on a Manhattan street led some on social media to say he deserved it because of his work in the executive suite.
I don't think that anyone's opinions of what they believe should cause harm.
The alternative to quote justified violence?
There just needs to be more, it's going to sound but love. Everyone should just come together as one and put aside their own political views.
This week, I had the chance to sit down with Dr. Charles Zeldin, a longtime history and politics professor at Nova Southeastern University, to talk about these issues. At the beginning of our conversation, we discussed the political violence survey.
It's problematical. It's a problem, but it's also very American. We are a violent nation in many ways. We have a history of political violence of various types, from assassinations of presidents to the killing of Elijah Lovejoy in 1837, to John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry in 1859, the tarring and feathering of the sellers of stamps during the Stamp Act during the Revolutionary period. Americans have turned to violence in times of stress, and it's sadly not new.
How do you think we can mend the division in today's political environment?
Well, the usual answer is understanding, talk, dialogue, emphasizing democracy and the democratic way, which is you engage with other people. They are not the enemy, they are the opposition, and you look for common ground. And we need to understand that those that we disagree with politically are still Americans with a love of this nation and with the best interests of this nation at heart. They just disagree with you about how to do it. And engagement with these individuals is a good thing, something that furthers peace in society.
You mentioned that the American nation has had a history of violence. Why do you think that the answer so many times has been just violence?
I'm not sure why, just that it is. Take, for example, the John Brown's raid in 1859. He saw slavery as a intrinsic evil and slaveholders as evil people who needed to be washed away in blood to cleanse the nation of this sin. He attacks Harper's Ferry. He is captured. The Southerners respond to this in a similar vein of, oh my God, the abolitionists are out to kill us. And that tension helped fuel secession in 1860, in 1861, and ultimately the Civil War. So it's viewing the other side as an existential threat. We can't do that. We have to view them as fellow Americans. And it's not easy to do. People look at the other side. They see something very different than what they want, what they believe, what they think, what they feel, and they see it as a threat to their way of life. They have to accept the diversity that is America. And that's not an easy thing for people to do.
You drew comparison to something that happened during the Civil War. Do you think that we are reaching a Civil War-like boiling point?
I think that we are seeing two sides that view the other existentially as a threat to our way of life. The left views Donald Trump and the right as engaging in a fascist moment, an effort to create fascism, a fascist government for America. The right views the left as engaging in moral and ethical attacks on a way of life that is very American. To the extent that we see the other side as an existential threat, as something that is out to destroy something fundamental about America, we have the potential of engaging in civil-like thinking. Now, whether that will result in a civil war, probably not. But it will and does result in a rise in belief that violence is, if not an answer, perhaps the answer to save something special, something intrinsically good. And each side looks at that other side. Now, I will say that right now, most of the violence is coming from one side of this debate. But the potential for both sides to engage in violent behavior is there.
Freedom of speech in America is in focus this week too. A number of companies or organizations across the U.S. have disciplined or fired employees. Conservative groups say they have been unfairly critical of Charlie Kirk. The controversy includes now suspended late-night host Jimmy Kimmel. CNN's Karen Kifa reports.
President Donald Trump traveling in the United Kingdom Thursday, brushing off free speech concerns after ABC's sidelining of late-night host Jimmy Kimmel back home.
He said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk, and Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
Kimmel's indefinite suspension was announced Wednesday, and just hours after Federal Communications Commission Chair Brendan Carr threatened to take action against ABC and parent company Disney if they did not address comments Kimmel made about the MAGA movement's reaction to the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Carr on CNBC Thursday morning said broadcast television licenses require a certain standard.
I've been clear, we're reinvigorating the FCC's enforcement of public interest, and it's a good thing.
But some Democrats fear a Trump administration crackdown on free speech and expression.
Donald Trump, in the wake of the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk, has decided to exploit that tragedy to try to silence his political opponents. I think Kimmel is just the beginning.
Some Republicans arguing ABC simply made a business decision.
ABC is a private company, and they can make their own choices on who they want to wear their brand, so to speak.
Despite declining viewership for late-night TV, Kimmel's program has been holding an audience, especially among the key demographic of viewers ages 25 to 54. In Washington, I'm Karen Kifa.
And President Trump stirred more controversy this week. This is a part of his exchange with an ABC reporter after a question about hate speech.
What do you make Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
She'll probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech, so maybe they'll have to go after you. Look, we want everything to be fair. It hasn't been fair.
American freedom is enshrined in the nation's founding documents, including the Declaration of Independence. Next year will mark the 250th anniversary of the American experiment in government by the people.
While an university historian wants to make sure it is an anniversary to remember. Lisette Guillen reports.
It's one of America's most powerful documents, the Declaration of Independence.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Approved on July 4th, 1776, the Declaration gives all the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But what does this mean?
Happiness meant living a full life. If you want to be a farmer or a carpenter, or you don't want to, you can. It just meant like fulfillment and freedom.
Before the Declaration, there was a limit on freedom.
Every government in history before 1776, before the Declaration, was a dictatorship. Either a king or queen, or a military dictator, or the church.
At the time, Dr. Watson says it was the King of England who had a tight grip on American subjects.
They taxed us on everything: glass, paper, tea, even playing cards. He was imposing taxes without us getting to vote in it.
Odette Hurling is an international student. She sees the Declaration as an important part in history.
Because that is like the first time that people created their own country and their own independence and constitution after that and everything. So it's a big part of history and it's remarkable.
This is their great gift to humanity, so that there's a new form of government. We call it a democracy.
Dr. Watson has a personal favorite line from the Declaration that students should pay attention to.
I think this idea that all men are created equal. That's one of the great lines ever written in human history.
Even though the Declaration was signed 249 years ago, Watson believes it's still relevant today.
So it remains as important today as a guiding sort of North Star of what we should do.
Lisette Guillen reporting for iPulse News.
I'm Delaney Smith. We turn to environmental news now. I had the chance to see a loggerhead nest excavation. It was an incredible sight seeing all the tiny hatchlings make their way to sea. But I must say, it was an eye-opening sight to realize that these creatures are endangered and they need our protection. The odds were stacked against these sea turtles from the start. But Thursday morning, 8 hatchlings beat the sand and the sea to take their very first swim.
Sea turtle species are pretty important for the ecosystem. They help, if you take out a species, it creates an imbalance. They're also a food source for a lot of other animals.
Delray Beach community joined Sandaway Discovery Center and Ecological Associates to witness sea turtles head toward the ocean.
Once it emerges and hatches, 3 days later we'll come and do an excavation, take nest inventory, see what hatched, what didn't, help any live ones that are still down there, and just take all that data.
In this nest, there were 91 eggs. 16 hatched, but only 8 made it out alive. The biggest threat to sea turtles? Us.
Coastal development is a huge thing. It destroys their habitat. The lighting will actually disorient them. Like in a natural setting, they would go towards the ocean, reflecting the moon's light, which will be the brightest thing in the sky. But now it's street lights and car lights and houses. Other things like pollution, when they are out in the ocean, they will 100% mistaken pollution for food.
Fortunately, there are actions you can take to ensure the survival of all 7 sea turtle species.
Learn more about them and just, be conscious of the things that you do. That could be as simple as going to the beach and picking up the trash that you came with. Another thing would be if you did dig a sandcastle or a hole, make sure to cover that in. These hatchlings are so small that they could fall in pretty easily.
In about 20 to 30 years, these exact sea turtles will be ready to lay their own eggs right here in Delray Beach, where they were born.
It's called their natal beach, so they'll return within a few miles of the beach.
that they were laid at. So that's why it's important to let them crawl to the water, say imprint on the sand. And they use the, magnetic field of the earth to come back and find their way back home. Look at that data.
I'm Delaney Smith for iPulse TV News. Protecting sea turtles starts with protecting their habitat. A local beach cleanup did just that, which not only helped the sea turtle wildlife, but also all of us. Reporter Carla Rivera Medina has the story.
On this Boca Raton beach, Lynn students made a dent in pollution and a case for awareness. They did on bucket full of trash at a time.
We walked onto the beach and it looked super clean, just to the average person coming to the beach. But when you're here with a purpose and you're looking and walking around, we got 8 buckets full of microplastics. And so those are little things like straws and bottle caps and covers and ropes. We got a big wire. So all things that are really harmful, especially for the turtles that, use this as their home to come lay their nest.
You and I enjoy the beach. Sea turtles cannot thrive without it being pollution-free.
A lot of animals out in the ocean or even close to the beach that they see a lot of trash and think that it's their food and it's plastic or rubber or something, and they're not supposed to eat it, but they decide to eat it, and they can end up getting sick, and it can end up getting us humans sick as well.
Lynn students are energized to be a part of life-saving work for the natural habitat that we often take for granted. Working together and making waves to stop pollution in its tracks. I'm Carla Rivera Medina for iPulse TV News.
Oscar-winning actor Robert Redford died this week at the age of 89. Redford was respected as the jack of all trades. He was actor, director, and producer, and away from Hollywood, he made a lasting impact with his support for Native American rights and the environment. Davinder Relbus highlights the life of this filmmaking giant.
Hollywood legend and leading man Robert Redford had many roles in front of the camera as well as behind it. He was a true filmmaker and will always be remembered for many iconic roles. Redford moved to New York City to pursue an acting career on Broadway in the late 50s. His big breakout role there was in Neil Simon's Barefoot in the Park, a role he would later reprise on the big screen with co-star Jane Fonda. 1969's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was his first blockbuster film, starring alongside Paul Newman.
Hands up, keep them up!
They also co-starred in The Sting, for which he was nominated for Best Actor in 1974. Redford was cast as the romantic leading man in films like The Great Gatsby and Out of Africa, a label that followed him through his life even as he became older.
I didn't see myself the way others saw me. I was kind of feeling trapped because I couldn't go outside the box of leading man or good-looking leading man. It was very flattering, but it was feeling restrictive. So it took many years to break loose of that.
Redford won a Best Director Oscar in 1981 for Ordinary People. He directed A River Runs Through It, Quiz Show, and many other films. But after several years on Broadway, Redford left the glitz and glamour behind, and in 1961 he moved to Utah, where he bought 2 acres of land for just $500 and built a cabin for his family.
I discovered how important nature was in my life, and I wanted to be where nature was extreme and where I thought it could be maybe everlasting.
An avid environmentalist, he bought more land over the years in Park City, Utah, and turned it into the Sundance Institute in 1981, a nonprofit dedicated to independent filmmakers, and 4 years later started the Sundance Film Festival to showcase their work.
Once the press came, then fashion came, and when fashion came, the paparazzi came. So these are kind of like tiers that formed outside of what we were doing. And that's fine, that's their business, but it's not who we are.
And his love for the environment continued.
As years went on, I became more and more convinced that nature played a great role in our lives but wasn't being treated fairly. And so I got committed to preserving that.
He didn't stop acting and directing and was awarded an honorary Oscar in 2002 for his contributions to filmmaking.
I want to make the most of what I've been given
and you keep pushing yourself forward, you try new things, and that's invigorating. I guess I found out that rather than retiring, that just feels better. Just keep moving as long as you can keep moving.
Hello everyone, nice to have you with us. Noah Barclay here, and I'll tell you right now, we do have one slight development that could be happening. It is being a little bit prohibited by some Saharan dust. It is a 40% chance of happening right behind Gabrielle. Gabrielle is the storm that I mentioned last week. That is very possible that it could have formed at the time, but it has formed. It's a tropical storm, and it doesn't pose any threat to us in Florida other than some choppy waters. As you see on the next slide, we do have this storm going up and then over into the northeast. It's going to go up even toward England, which is pretty remarkable that it's going to even last that long. But I'll tell you right now, by the time it gets there, it's going to be post-tropical. Not that that really matters, of course, if we're near Florida, because as you'll see, there's a really big gap in between where the storm actually is. So nothing to worry about, again, other than choppy waters. Careful on a boat, especially on Sunday. As we'll see right now in the next slide, it is very far away once it hits Sunday. It's going to be kind of aligned with North and South Carolina, maybe Georgia. Of course, this is far out, so it could change a little bit. But what we do know is that it's going to be very, very far offshore. So nothing to worry about. Even with precipitation that could land off of it, from the side of it, nothing even there. So nothing to worry about. It's going to be out there, so when you hear it, don't worry about it. As you'll see on the next slide right now, we do have some showers and thunderstorms in the area. However, as of right now, it is not projected for there to be actually any precipitation, but there is a slight chance, about a 20% chance today, which doesn't actually really qualify under actually putting it on the weather graphic. As you'll see right now on the 7-day forecast, we're saying that it's going to rain. As you'll see right now, I do have it at partly cloudy. But right now, as you may have seen in the past, sometimes they do say that there's a straight shower or thunderstorm that is possible, and that is the case with today, as you'll see right here on Friday. As we get later into the week, consistently rainy. 45 to 60 is really the percent chances that we're going to get. Again, because it's usually scattered. It's that time of year where it's really going to remain like that. So I would recommend bringing a rain jacket wherever you go, but I wouldn't say there's going to be much sun as we get later into next week, Monday, over into next Thursday, because it is going to be raining relatively consistently. Again, scattered, not consistent in terms of how it's going to happen every day, but it is going to be consistent every day that week. But what I want to tell you right now, what we do have possibly later in the year is some storm surge, because once we do get these hurricanes, and we are at the peak of hurricane season, I want you to be ready and I want you to be prepared and make sure you have a kit ready. So I prepared something for you. Take a listen. Storm surge is a deadly phenomenon that affects all parts of the eastern United States coastline. How bad it is varies from hurricane intensity. You could see here that with Category 3 Hurricane Milton, that the water is being pushed over this barrier into land because of the strong winds. How much storm surge can this lead to? Generally, this is how much storm surge would affect an area. A Category 1 would reach your shin, but a Category 2 or 3 could very well reach your neck and high on your home if you are very close to the shore. Category 4 would have 9 feet, where Category 5 is the deadliest, where it can reach 14 feet or more. Note that all levels of storm surge are deadly at any height. Remember, when you see floodwaters, turn around, don't drown. I'm Noah Barclay with iPulse News.
The Lynn University Sports Management faculty prides itself on equipping their students with the skills and knowledge to thrive within the sports business industry. I recently sat down with Lynn professor and former Miami Heat sales manager Sherry Andre, who discussed how she guides her students to landing a job in sports. You're well respected here within Lynn University within the sports management faculty. So briefly, I wanted to understand a bit of your career and your background within sports business.
Sure. Yes, I actually started off with the Miami Heat, so I spent 12 to 13 seasons working with them, so I've seen them during the worst of the days as well as the best days, and all the way through getting 3 championship rings.
You mentioned being with an historical franchise like the Miami Heat, associated with icons like Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Pat Riley. What were some interactions that you had during that point, and how would you characterize the lessons learned as well?
I mean, it's incredible. It's something that most people dream about doing, and to actually be walking in the corridors backstage and you run into Shaquille O'Neal and Dwayne Wade having a conversation. It's pretty surreal sometimes. And to see some of the different trades, and even Coach Riley was one of our motivational speakers for the sales team at one point. So it's really some phenomenal experiences.
Inform the audience of the day-to-day events that you would have the students go through and how they can kind of court opportunities and jobs within being in the sports business.
Sure. Learning in the classroom is one thing. Being out in the field is a completely different experience. So to be able to take students out into the industry and let them really experience firsthand the business side of sports, it's completely different than attending a tennis match or a football game or even an ice hockey game as a fan. So you're looking at things from a completely different perspective. On top of that, we try to introduce them to industry professionals so they can now start to connect and learn how other people got started in the industry, as well as what it takes to really be successful in the industry.
What are some things that you would tell your students or kind of just push on them so they have that drill, when looking for a job?
Networking is key. It's a very small industry. A lot of money, big business, but it's a very small industry. So networking is definitely extremely important, and then gaining any type of experience you can. Volunteer, go on an internship, take a second internship. Even if you don't need the credits for it, there's so many opportunities. We're in a hotbed of sports opportunities here in South Florida. It also helps you understand what do you want to do, what is available to possibly do, and what don't you like to do. It's just as important, especially as you're trying to figure out what is that next step and what do I really want to do with my degree.
You mentioned career opportunities and networking, things of the nature. We have a career fair coming up next week at Lynn University. So how excited are your sports management students to kind of, talk to future employers? And do you know any of the employers that may be attending, potentially looking for students to hire?
Yes, this is an internship fair, and we just started working with the James Hardy NFL Hall of Fame Championship Golf Tournament. It's right around the corner from here, so I know they will actually be here in attendance. We have the Delray Beach Open that we work with on a regular basis. And again, it's an opportunity to practice having conversations with potential interviewers and potential employers. It's a great way to start to understand what's available. What can I take advantage of? And what can I possibly see myself doing? There's just so many roles in the industry that it's hard to really know what is available until you start to get out there and take part in it.
That's exciting stuff. Briefly, can you tell me what's on the agenda for the Sports Management Club or just the students in general in terms of events you guys may be going to this semester or the next one? What are you guys up to?
The board that they have now of just engaged and active officers, they are putting on workshops every month. They are bringing in external speakers every month. They are attending case competitions. They are submitting proposals to present at professional industry conferences. So it's beyond anything I could have imagined a couple years ago when it was just an idea.
Yeah, very insightful stuff. Dr. Andre, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. We wish you guys all the best going forward.
Thank you so much. It was great being here.
USA track athlete Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone soared to new heights this week at the Tokyo World Championships, claiming gold in the women's 400-meter final. The 26-year-old clocked 47.78 seconds, the second fastest women's time ever recorded. Our Davendra Vilves spoke with a few Lynn track athletes, getting their perspective on McLaughlin-Levrone's success.
With or without hurdles, there is no stopping Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. After dominating the 400-meter hurdles, her recent feat has been racing the 400-meter. Yesterday, she won gold in the 400-meter dash and an American record at the 2025 World Athletics Championship.
So rare at the pro level for an athlete to be elite at two events like that. Very rarely will you ever see a hurdle runner be elite at a sprint event or the other way around, and it's just crazy that she's able to be the greatest of all time in the 4 hurdles and in the 400.
Her presence alone in the open 400-meter dash has been tremendously raising the level of competition as she competes against long-time event specialists.
First time in 40 years, so a woman ran 47, and it was both her and another athlete from the Dominican Republic. So just her presence of being there has already raised the level of competition.
From first qualifying for the Olympics at 16 years old to now a 4-time Olympic champion at only 26, it raises the question of how she ranks among notable names in track and field. The common consensus? She is becoming one of the greatest athletes of all time.
And I think she's honestly the greatest female track athlete of all time in any composition.
There's nobody that's ever done that before. Nobody in the history of track and field has ever ran and gold medaled or even medaled period in both the 400 and 400 meter hurdles. And she has the American records in both and the world record in the 400 meter hurdles.
Her dominance leaves the track and field world asking, what milestone will she conquer next? The 400-meter world record, or perhaps an American record in another event? I'm Davindra Belbis reporting for iPulse Live.
Making art and making her way in business, that's the story for one tattoo studio owner in Boca Raton. Rebecca Kate reports.
Creating tattoo art and building buzz for her business, owner Ashley Bartman is doing both at Beauty and Ink.
I opened up a business, and it just kind of played into fruition where there were some women getting into the industry, but they're mostly doing permanent makeup and lips, eyebrows.
Open for 2 years now, Ashley says she is determined to create a space for women in an industry often dominated by men.
They'd go to other tattoo studios wanting something small, and they'd get mocked or hit on while they were getting tattoos. Just the amount of people that just said, I feel so safe, I only wanted to hire female artists going forward.
Kayla is a client. She says the approach is working.
I felt really comfortable, honestly. I feel like the whole atmosphere made me very comfortable, and we were having good conversations, so it made me feel good and relaxed.
This all-women shop includes 7 tattoo artists. Hannah Newberger is one of them.
The clientele is amazing. Everyone's super sweet, super relaxing and welcoming, and it just fits the vibe of our women-owned, clean and friendly kind of studio.
Tattoo artists hoping to prove that tattoos are more than just ink. A studio like this can also be a place to make memories, have good laughs, and build community. I'm Rebecca Kate for iPulse News.
You find all kinds of talent, taste, and business success in our community. Ashley Caffon did just that and brings us this story.
Nestled in a small plaza in Palm Beach Gardens, it's one of the best sandwich shops in the nation. This is Picnic Sandwich Shop, a French spot that offers breakfast, lunch, and brunch items. Despite its tiny size, Picnic has already received a number of accolades, including being ranked the number 11 sandwich shop in the nation, according to Yelp reviewers. But what sets them apart from so many others? According to founder and head chef Christophe Pisano, everything they serve is genuine French cuisine.
We are a true French bakery. We use most of our ingredient that goes in the sandwich imported meat and cheese from Europe. We make, everything in-house.
Plus, we can't forget everyone's favorite secret ingredients.
I have to say that, we make everything with love.
Chef Christophe first got his start in cooking and food as a young child.
So I pretty much grew up with my grandmother, and she was cooking all day long, for the family. So I used to, I didn't wake up with an alarm clock. I woke up with the smell of, things cooking. I got, lucky enough to spend a lot of time with her, and she taught me a lot of things, and this is when my passion of cooking started to grow.
He started an apprenticeship at the age of 13 and had one of his restaurants on the Michelin Guide in France. He had an opportunity to come to the States and took the chance to come here.
I came here and that was it, and I thought it was kind of a luck because our suite number is 13, and my parents' house was number 13, and my grandmother's house when I grew up was number 13.
Picnic is a shop filled with love and authenticity. So if you're looking for a good bite to eat with passion behind it, look no further than Chef Christophe Pisano.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of Couch Potatoes this semester. My name is Lisette.
And I'm Guilherme.
And today we're going to be talking about The Conjuring Last Rites.
Yes, not usually the type of movies I like seeing. Horror movies, especially in a movie theater, but, we're very good friends, as you can tell, so...
No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, no, this is the latest movie in the Conjuring franchise.
Yes.
It's supposedly gonna be like the last one with the main characters of like Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yes.
So it had the biggest global start in history for a horror film at the box office. According to Variety, the movie made 194 million worldwide in its first weekend.
That's
And this
crazy.
whole Conjuring cinematic universe as a whole has grossed more than $2.3 billion.
Yeah.
And I ask you,
Yes.
How? Like, I don't know. I think that for me, who I don't think I've ever seen, like, I've ever understood the hype behind horror. Like, why do you think this has made so much money?
Well, I think people like the effect of getting scared. Like when we were in the theater,
Yeah.
you could just feel the tension of like
Oh.
everyone like they're just waiting for that
I'm
jump
sure
scare.
people heard my screams.
Oh yeah, the like there was like a well, I won't spoil it, but there was like just like a demon just like staring at you for like what half a second. People like that. They want to kind of get that adrenaline. I think.
No, and I do understand it now, I would say, because I really like this movie, actually. And I wouldn't expect that, not only because I'm not really a fan of horror, but also this movie is kind of like the big finale to these characters. And I didn't understand like the context at all, but it made me care. And most of all, which I think was very fun, was just this this feeling of getting scared, this feeling of like I feel like me, like you and the audience, the theater just turns into a haunted house.
Yeah.
It feels like you're all in this together.
Yeah, it's
I thought
definitely
it was fun.
it's different when you go watch it with like your friends and stuff. I really like that.
So rare recommendation for me. I would say go see it. It's gonna be in theaters for a while probably.
Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank
but
you.
until next time.
Bye.
He is the Dean of our Lynn College of Communication and Design by day.
That's right, Erna. And he's an artist at night. We found Dean Cesar Santalo working away in his office with the flair and excitement of someone who loves his craft. This is not just shattered glass. It's an art piece that holds a deeper meaning.
This is actually a project that we did last year, Academic Affairs. Dr. Katrina Carter-Tellison wanted Lynn to be a part of the Go Pink Luncheon. And they had this exhibition called Bras for a Cause. And so most people were basically creating just a really beautiful bra out of cloth. I decided, why don't we just, instead of like making a cloth bra, I'm gonna make an actual art piece out of mosaic tiles and like dishes and vases that I find at thrifting.
The art piece is a bust that will be sold to support breast cancer.
I hope that we can raise as much as we can because we need all the money we can get to fight this horrible disease called cancer.
Cesar Santalo is a collage artist. He creates meaning in every art piece he makes. He shared the inspiration behind this piece.
There's a poem by Maya Angelou called Still I Rise. Still I Rise is a poem about slavery, no matter what one goes through, whatever struggles, torment, any of those things, that the bird still rises, the bird still sings. And so I wanted to basically put items that you actually see, that you read in the poetry, in the actual design. She also has a poem that talks about a bird in a cage, right? But I felt that because this was breast cancer, that we needed to have a bird rising.
He invited art students to work on the piece alongside him. They shared the sentiment towards the piece.
This piece, when the dean was talking about it, like what he was doing and what was the purpose, I felt like it touched me deeply because for me it's personal, you know. The story about this piece of art is personal since my mom is a cancer survivor, and story that is part of my life. I wanted to be part of it.
My grandma had also cancer, not breast cancer, but she suffered from cancer, and it was devastating. And I feel for cancer, it has to be, like the research, we should do as much as we can to forward more of that research. Yeah. And it's been amazing being part of this project because it really just touches me in a different way.
Working on the piece has been a challenging process for the students.
It's been incredible just because I've never done stuff like that. I've never done mosaics, I've never broken stuff. Figuring out what colors, what shades to use, everything like that impacts the view of it. And sometimes you just have to step back and see like, oh, does it look good, does it not? And then the next day is like, ugh, and then you scratch it all off.
Santalo acts not just as an artist, but as a dean of the College of Communications and Design. He believes this duality is important for inspiring students.
I think the also the beauty of the leadership here, right? Is that they know that I think like an artist. That's who I am. And they want me to continue doing that. That's why I've been able to like work on other projects, like the Patria Vida documentary. They wanted me to work on those things, right? But the fact that art students, like these two who are like, you know, top-notch art students, the fact that the dean is also an artist just like them is super unique. You're not going to find in higher education that the actual dean is a practicing artist.
It's been a pleasure to see the dean work with so many students on this, especially two really talented students. Now it's my turn. He actually invited me to Break Subway Studio to collaborate on this art piece. So, let's do it. I'm Lilia Carrion for iPulse.
I had the chance to also collaborate on the piece, Erna. What do you think?
Yes, I loved it, especially at the end with you smashing the pieces.
I mean, it was part of it. But honestly, having that one-on-one relationship with the dean, and especially seeing him work for the community and giving back, hopefully we can raise a lot of money to avoid cancer, as he said. But well, that has been this week's edition of iPulse Live. I'm Lilian Carrero.
And I'm Erna Delise. If you would like to see more iPulse content, you can go to iPulse Network on YouTube or iPulseNews.com for web articles and extended versions of day-to-day stories. Have a great weekend. See you next time.